On a cold, stormy night, a group of teenagers huddled in a rundown cabin in the woods. They had come to this secluded location to have a little fun and scare each other with ghost stories, but they had no idea what was in store for them. As the night wore on, the wind howled outside, and the rain pounded against the cabin's walls. The teens were all wrapped up in their blankets, trying to keep warm and stay calm. But then, they started to hear strange noises coming from outside. At first, they thought it was just a storm, but then the noises became louder and more distinct. They heard footsteps, rustling in the bushes, and even whispers on the wind. They were all terrified, and no one wanted to go outside to investigate. As the night progressed, the teens tried to distract themselves with games and conversation, but the eerie feeling in the air refused to dissipate. They started to notice strange things happening around them, like objects moving on their own or the temperature dropping suddenly. One of the teens, a girl named Lily, started to feel particularly uneasy. She felt like she was being watched, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking just outside the cabin. She tried to tell her friends, but they just brushed it off as her imagination. Eventually, the teens decided to try and get some sleep, but as soon as they closed their eyes, they heard a loud banging on the cabin door. They all jumped out of their beds, terrified, and rushed to the door to see who or what was making the noise. When they opened the door, they were greeted by a sight that would haunt them forever. Standing before them was a group of ghostly figures, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The teens were frozen in fear, unable to move or speak. The ghosts started to speak, their voices chilling the bones of the teenagers. They told the group that they were the spirits of a family that had been brutally murdered in this very cabin years ago. They had been trapped here, unable to move on, and they were looking for revenge. The teens tried to run, but the ghosts were too fast. They were cornered, with nowhere to go. And that's when they realized the unsettling truth. They had been lured to this cabin by the ghosts, who had been waiting for new victims to claim. As the ghosts closed in on the teenagers, they let out a blood-curdling scream, and the air around them grew cold and thick. The teens tried to fight back, but their efforts were in vain. The ghosts were too powerful. The ghosts started to reach out their hands, grasping at the teenagers' bodies. As they made contact, the teens felt a jolt of pain shoot through their bodies, and they knew that the ghosts were taking their souls. The ghosts' eyes glowed brighter and brighter as they consumed the souls of the teenagers, and their forms started to shift and distort. They became more solid, more real, as they fed on the life force of their victims. The teenagers screamed and pleaded for mercy, but the ghosts were relentless. They continued to drain the life from the teens until they were nothing but lifeless husks, their bodies collapsing to the ground. As the ghosts finished their grisly work, the storm outside began to calm, and the air inside the cabin grew still. The ghosts stood over the bodies of the teenagers, satisfied with their revenge. They had claimed new victims, and they would be trapped in this cabin forever, just like they were. And so, the ghosts disappeared into the night, leaving behind only the echoes of their chilling laughter. The cabin was once again shrouded in darkness, a monument to the horror that had unfolded there. The souls of the teenagers were gone, consumed by the spirits who had waited for so long to claim them.